All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Give me a touch on the top prop bets for this Monday night showdown between the Denver Broncos and the Cleveland Browns. Going to be a tight slate in terms of prize picks and underdog bets that we currently have that are considered good bets. I'm going to start the video out with that. Then I'm just going to touch on my favorite kind of traditional sportsbook bets that we have, but we also will be covering some demon prop bets that you can be targeting on prize picks, as well as kind of those 1 point, like 10x, type of bets that are going to be available on Underdog as well. That's going to be the way that we should go about attacking this slate, and I'll break down why. Let's go ahead and get into it. So guys, right now on Underdog, we literally have one good bet on the board right now for NFL, and that's going to be Javonte Williams to get under his fantasy score of 10.35. We're going to see that the average sportsbook line would have this closer to 8.1. The projection data likes it at 7.86. The prize picks line likes it at 9.25. So across the board, we can see that the Underdog line is going to be the outlier there. And with the Denver Broncos, we have seen the workload for the running backs be pretty much random. Heck, it's not even Javonte Williams being the starting running back in most games. It does seem to be more of a kind of ride the hot hand approach, and I think Sean Payton has been begging for one of the other running backs to take over that RB1 workload from Javonte Williams. So I'm on board with that one. That's really the only good bet that we are currently getting for that game on Monday Night Football on Underdog. And then we look at prize picks, guys. That's going to be the exact same case there as well, where we are just not getting any edges in terms of the bets as it sits right now. So I want to go ahead and show you guys some of my favorite bets on the slate today. And so here we go. I want to start with Devon Valet, and I want to start off with his receptions because he is someone that if he gets the workload that I think he's going to get in this game, which is going to be a continuation of him getting around 65% of the snaps, which is what he has gotten in the last 3 weeks here for the Broncos. If that continues, if he gets that same workload, then I think he'll be in for a good game. This Cleveland Browns defense has been a defense that has struggled as well to stop opposing receivers. And the interesting thing with the lines that we are getting for him is that some of them are giving him a line of 2.5, like FanDuel, where they're heavily favoring the over, giving him about a 63%, 64% likelihood for him to get that over. Or you're getting other sites where they're saying he's heavily favored to get under 3.5 receptions. So basically, they're telling us that he is going to get 3 receptions. But when we look at his game log, we're going to see that he has been getting targeted pretty heavily. 9 targets last week, 5 targets the week prior to that, 4 targets the week prior to that. He is someone, I still go back to this, but week 1, we saw him play basically the same amount of snap share, had 8 targets in that game, 8 receptions in that game. He has been someone that's been impressive. He is someone that has also gotten the praise from Sean Payton as well. So I don't mind the idea of actually chasing a demon prop bet or, multiplier type bet on Underdog. I could see betting him to get over 4.5 receptions. I could see betting him to get over 3.5 receptions as a demon bet as well. Again, we have seen him get this over in 3 straight games now that he has been that kind of receiver number 2 here for Denver, playing in around 65% of the snaps. So I think that's a good starting point, but we can stick with another Denver Broncos receiver here in terms of receptions, in terms of bets that I like. And guys, that's going to be looking at Courtland Sutton to get over his receptions as well. We're not going to do the Goblin bet line because that's not a good bet. But I think what I wouldn't mind doing is him to get over 5.5 receptions. We have seen him consistently get this over. And again, the matchup with Cleveland is not a difficult matchup. I could see betting him to get over 6.5 receptions as well. Again, I really like this matchup he's playing, or I really don't mind this matchup. We look at the opponent, like fantasy score given up, 24th, so really not terrible there. And for him to get over, let's just say 5.5 receptions, guys, it's not too crazy. Like Cleveland does give up a lot of fantasy points to opposing receivers, but they do only give up an average of 5.4 receptions per game. So it's not like that's off by that much compared to kind of the 5.5 line that we were getting. But either way, I think we are gaining a good edge on him. Whether that be over 6.5 receptions, over 5.5 receptions, I'm good with both of those. He has been a target machine. He's playing a lot of snaps here for the Denver Broncos. We're going to see 8 receptions, 7 receptions, 6 receptions, 7, 8. Like he has consistently been getting this over in somewhat more difficult matchups. We see the targets have been there as well. That's a key thing here as well. 10 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets, 11 targets. Like he has been a target machine. Minus 1 random bad game. And sure, that is on the board. With Sean Payton, we could see some of this random stuff happen. But Courtland Sutton is probably one of the most underrated receivers in the league. I said this on Friday night with Jacoby Myers. Like besides Courtland Sutton, Jacoby Myers is probably one of the more underrated receivers in the league. I would argue Courtland Sutton is the most underrated receiver in the league. Hopefully he comes through for us in this game as well. But those are really the two best bets that I see this game thus far. Because for me, guys, I don't want to bet on like what role Javonte Williams is going to have or Audric Estime. Like it seems like Sean Payton wants to get Estime going, but he just hasn't really looked the part. Jaleel McLaughlin has looked good in splashes. It seems like he should kind of be the guy that's taken over, but that just hasn't happened. And so with that, like who knows? Like they had Tyler Batty getting some work right before he got injured as the RB1. He started the game. It's just some strange stuff there. So I want to stay away from there. I'm also going to be staying away from the tight ends there. The only other player I could get behind is going to be Bo Nix, but because we are already using Courtland Sutton or Devon Valet, there's no real reason to go in on Bo Nix, especially on PrizePicks or Underdog, where once you include two bets like a quarterback and receiver, one, you can't do that on Underdog most of the time, and on PrizePicks the payout's just going to get significantly reduced, so we can't really target Bo Nix on this slate. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into the Cleveland Browns, and the issue that I have with the Cleveland Browns is that they're facing the Denver Broncos defense, a defense that we've been wanting to stay away from. And you look at like Jameis Winston, he will make some mistakes in this game. He most likely will not have a good game. At the same time, I could see him having a garbage time game where he's easily getting his unders for like, 90% of the game, and that it takes, a couple of garbage time drives where he ends up getting all of his passing yards, gets a touchdown or two to Jerry Jeudy or something like that. So for the most part, I am probably staying away from the Cleveland Browns prop bets. But let's go ahead and show you guys which ones are currently popping up as some of the better ones. And so going back to PrizePicks, I do think this is worth calling out. Given the game script that we are potentially going to get in this game, I could see Nick Chubb struggling. I do expect Denver to win by the 6 points that they are currently projected to win by. And so with that, it should be more difficult for the Browns to be able to stick to the run. Now, I will call out that is, if there is a weakness to the Denver Broncos defense, it has been stopping opposing running backs. So I do think we could get like a healthy workload of Nick Chubb. I could see him getting over 15.5 rush attempts. But for Nick Chubb, that would mean that the game stayed close enough for long enough for really longer than I see happening. And so that's where I'm kind of struggling to get to that bet. But like if there was an over bet, I could see it being Nick Chubb. But the data is already telling us to bet the under on him. So there's no reason that I see for us to like go out of our way to force that bet. Again, given the strength of the Denver Broncos defense being stopping like opposing receivers, I do see Jerry Jeudy probably struggling in this game. There is the revenge game narrative for him. I get that. But in the famous words of Steve Smith, Jerry Jeudy's soft. Okay. And I do expect him to have a bad game in this game. Kind of going back to that. Remember that game? I think it was against Carolina. Steve Smith was like calling out Jerry Jeudy, saying he's soft, and there was a bunch of noise around it. And then Jerry Jeudy showed up and he was terrible in that game. I kind of expect that in this game as well. So I probably am more looking at some of the under bets for Jerry Jeudy. I could see potentially just betting his like under fantasy score on PrizePicks instead of his under receptions. Regardless, I think those are all fine options if you're like trying to go that route. We see his under fantasy score is somewhat favorited there, basically a 50-50 split there, but I'm kind of okay with that. Now, there is one player that we are currently not getting any prop bets that I do want to call out to you guys, because if we do, we could be getting some good value on him, and that's going to be Jeremiah Thrash. He is someone that did stand out during the preseason for the Cleveland Browns. They were kind of hyped about him as a player. We have seen him get more snaps. He is definitely the current receiver number 3 for the Cleveland Browns. I shouldn't say definitely, but that's what happened last week. Now, last week, in kind of a bad game, he did play in 58% of the snaps, did not receive a target in that game, but I could see this being a game in which, he's not going to break out and have a massive game. I don't necessarily see that happening, but maybe he ends up getting 3 catches in this game for like 20 yards. I think that's within the realm of possibilities. And so that's my way of calling out that if we get a line where it's like, I don't know, 8 receiving yards, 8.5 receiving yards, basically saying he's not going to get that much work, I'd be fine betting the over there. And so, guys, I'm about to get into the 9 to 5 bet of the day. Do want to call it. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. That does help out a lot. For Underdog, I will suggest doing that under like 10.4 fantasy score for Javonte Williams. That is currently a solid bet, but that's really the only good bet that we are getting on Underdog right now. So with that, guys, we're going to get into the prize bet of the day. Again, give me chasing more of those demon bets. If If you guys want access to the 9-to-5 PrizePicks underdog cheat sheets, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. Use the promo code KEEPCASH and you get 20% off your first 9-to-5 month membership. And guys, honestly, like a slate like this Monday Night Football game is a decent reason as to call out why getting the access to the cheat sheet could be beneficial, because we are seeing that it's really not a good day. It's not a day that we should be going heavy on, or a game that we should be going heavy on bet-wise, because we are literally getting one good bet on the day, which is insane. And so we're going to want to stay away from most of the bets that we are getting on the slate, and we know that. So because we know that, we can make some adjustments, maybe chase some longer odd bets that we wouldn't necessarily do. Obviously, we're trying to have some fun here, and that's what we're going to do here. And so again, I do think Devon Valet over 3.5 receptions is a solid bet. I also think Cortland Sutton to get over 6.5 receptions is a solid bet as well. You could just do 5.5 receptions for him as well. That bet is available. I think those are both solid bets. And then Jerry Jeudy get under 12.5 for his fantasy score. The revenge game narrative for a soft receiver like Jerry Jeudy, I'm fine betting the under there. Again, not any edges here. This is just kind of my thoughts on it. Like the talent of Devon Valet, like Cortland Sutton as a receiver. I think those lines are too low given this Cleveland Browns defense. And so that's going to do it, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. That does help out a lot. Comment your guys' favorite bet. If you guys see one that you guys like, by all means, let me know. If you guys think I'm crazy for saying Jerry Jeudy's soft, you can let me know in the comment section below and disagree. I'm fine with that, as long as it's a constructive comment, not just one that's just hating to hate. If it's a fun comment, I'm fine with that as well. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.